Coming up, a phone call threat causes lockdowns to take place in Iowa City. And later, Kim Reynolds proposes changes to a controversial newly introduced education bill.
Beth gets the job.
How long will these freezing temperatures last? More on the weather ahead.
All that and more coming up on this Friday morning of DITV News.
Don't go anywhere. DITV News starts right now.
Good morning. It's great to have you with us. I'm Johnny Valtman.
And I'm David Consuelos.
Threats were made over the phone to Mercy Iowa City Hospital and clinics Thursday morning. The call prompted the medical organization to place all its campuses on lockdown. In addition to Mercy Iowa City, Regina High School also went into a lockdown as it stands across from one of the Mercy's clinics, but no threat was made towards the school. Just this morning, Iowa City Police have Iowa City Police arrested the caller for the threat of terrorism, who has now been identified as Stephanie Robinson. The investigation is still ongoing at this time. And David, I was happy to see the snow last night, but when my car got stuck trying to get here this morning, I wasn't too happy.
Johnny, for the past week, I feel like I'm taking a gamble each morning to see if my car is gonna get out of its parking spot.
Well, hopefully some warmer temperatures are ahead, and DITV's Claire Green is live in the Alder Rotunda now for our daily weather forecast.
Yeah, thanks, Johnny. I'm doing pretty well on this sunny but freezing Friday morning. I am in the Adler building because there is a wind chill advisory until 9 a.m. today. We did see some snow showers, like you said last night, but for the weekend, it does look like it's gonna be gone. Temperatures are expected to drop today and tomorrow. Today is supposed to be a high of 5 and a low of -6, but it's supposed to be partly cloudy. Tomorrow is supposed to be sunny with a high of 3 and a low of -12. I'll have more on the forecast. Until then, back to you in the studio.
On Wednesday, the Iowa City Police Department responded to a fire on East Burlington Street. The building houses several apartments and was once the former location of the Cactus Bar and Grill. In a press release, the ICFD stated that responding units encountered heavy smoke inside a restaurant located on the first floor of the building. The fire was brought under control and there were no injuries to civilians or firefighters. Damages to the building are estimated at $75,000, and the ICFD is still investigating the cause of the fire. The Iowa legislature started earlier this month, and since then, multiple bills have been proposed to potentially be turned into law. Governor Kim Reynolds has proposed changes to previous legislation she introduced at the condition of the state. If passed, the bill would change the role of Area Education Agencies, or AEAs, in public schools. The bill originally proposed that AEAs would only service special education. Now, the bill would let other services be used if requested by school districts and approved by the Department of Education. This comes after Reynolds received criticism on how the bill would impact rural schools in Iowa.
It's more important in the rural areas where they do not have those OT, PT, speech pathologists to actually hire in the local community.
Governor Reynolds said in a press release that she is prioritizing student success and wants schools and parents to be in control of their money to support their student needs. Iowa Attorney General Bretta Bird is suing TikTok. Bird is alleging that TikTok has allowed frequent and intense sexual content, nudity, and profanity to young children. The lawsuit states that TikTok is facing violation of the Iowa Consumer Fraud Act by misleading parents who believe the app is following their 12-year and older age rating. She says she is committed to help parents keep kids safe and hold TikTok accountable. A spokesperson for TikTok says the app has industry-leading safeguards in place for minors, such as time limits and parental controls. TikTok says that they will continue to prioritize community safety. On Thursday, Congress passed a short-term funding extension to avert another possible government shutdown by today's deadline. This extension sets up 2 new deadlines on March 1st and March 8th and is now awaiting Joe Biden's approval. However, lawmakers must attempt to pass a series of full-year spending bills before those deadlines. This year, lawmakers have threatened 2 government shutdown deadlines, one being January 15th and the other being February 2nd, along with today. House Republicans were about evenly divided over the extension and are already unhappy with Speaker Johnson for his $1.6 trillion top-line spending deal. Johnson has continued to defend his decisions while avoiding shutdown altogether. As the first week of classes end, many students hope that they aren't on the verge of a shutdown, especially with the tough weather we are having. We'll send it back out to Claire, who has more on how the next week will look.
Yeah, thanks, Johnny. For the second week of classes, temperatures are expected to rise. The temperatures are expected to be in the mid 30s and stay that way during the night. Tuesday, expect to see some more snowfall, but no more for the rest of the week. Doesn't look like we will see much sunshine, but thank God for those rising temperatures. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Claire. Johnson County Supervisor Rod Sullivan announced Wednesday that he is running for re-election. Sullivan was first elected as supervisor all the way back in 2004. His track record includes raising the minimum wage, increasing funding for affordable housing, and passing the Human Rights Ordinance for Johnson County. Currently, he's working with the board to preserve the historic Poor Farm. Mandy Remington, who lost her at-large bid for an Iowa City Council seat back in November, will also be running for a spot on the Board of Supervisors. University of Iowa Healthcare recently announced that they've performed over 10,000 robotic surgeries. This means the hospital performs roughly 100 robotic surgeries a month. The program has been growing for 20 years, and over 40 different surgeons have learned how to use the robots. The benefits of robotic surgeries include less blood loss, lower rates of infections, less pain post-procedure, and shorter hospital stays. The hospital plans to continue growing the new program. And it is officially that time of the year to make New Year's resolutions. DITV's Grace Lothrop has more on how students are planning to start off their new year and semester.
Despite the snowy start to the semester, students have goals in mind to make this semester strong.
Establish a good sleep schedule, get your planner ready. Be open to the challenge and build a rapport with your professors.
Faculty members of Student Support and Counseling are encouraging students to stop by the Pomerantz Center for advice on academic success. Students also have their own advice to share with their peers.
Some advice I'd give to students nowadays, especially with online classes happening and everything, is just being attentive to professors in class rather than just writing down the note. Just really taking in what the professor says, because they know more than what the notes can offer.
Students are encouraged to use resources like the Math Lab located in McLean Hall and the Writing Center in the English Philosophy Building, offering students tutoring and in-depth feedback on assignments.
So just like making little goals. So it's like finish that assignment, finish this essay, do that. So it makes it easier to break it up and make yourself less overwhelmed.
The university is also encouraging students to check out the Academic Resource Center in the IMU for help. With the first week of classes finishing up, the university is encouraging students to take advantage of all the resources here offered on campus. Wishing you a wonderful start to your semester. This is Grace Lathrop, DITV.
David, I'm not a big fan on New Year's resolutions. What I want changed, I'm already working on.
That's good, Johnny. This New Year's, I tried to eat healthier, but I did DoorDash last night, but we'll see if I get better tomorrow. But with the new year comes some exciting news. After launching a search in late November to find the university's next athletic director, the University of Iowa keeps it in-house and names Beth Getz as their next AD. Getz has been serving as the interim AD since August 2nd, taking over for Gary Barta after he retired, and she has impressed from the beginning, helping facilitate the most attended women's basketball game with the crossover at Kinnick and announcing the release of offensive coordinator Brian Ferentz, a move many fans have been waiting for. Getz said, quote, "The University of Iowa is a world-class institution with a demonstrated commitment to athletic excellence, and I look forward to continuing to partner with our coaches and staff in support of all our student athletes. It is a privilege to serve our campus and our passionate Hawkeye supporters," end quote. Now we have DITV Sports Director Michael Merrick in the newsroom. Michael, what's the reaction amongst coaches around the hire?
Thanks, David. This is a huge hire for the Hawkeye athletic department, and the reaction amongst coaches has been great so far. Getz has an incredible resume, and everyone who has worked alongside her has been endorsing her since she's got that interim tag. And back when Lisa Bluter had her opening press conference of the season, she talked about how there's not many things that every Iowa coach can agree on, but making Beth Getz the full-time AED was definitely one of them. And since the announcement, every coach has released a statement showing how excited they are. So it seems like the Hawks made the right call.
That's good to hear, Michael, but what does this hire mean for the future of Hawkeye athletics?
Well, Johnny, getting somebody this experienced should pay off in a big way for Iowa, as a lot of decisions will be looming in the next 5 to 10 years at Iowa. Keep in mind, a lot of the bigger name coaches are getting up there in age, so there's going to be a lot of pressure and decision making with Beth Getz on who she's going to replace those coaches with when it inevitably happens in the future. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Michael. Some exciting news all around. And the women's basketball team will journey to Ohio State to take on the Buckeyes on Sunday for a top 25 matchup. Some keys for the game for Iowa is to keep the hot hand. From deep, Iowa shooting an average of 43% from the field. Matching up against Ohio State team that's averaging 81 points a game, the Hawks will need to connect from outside. But you can't knock down shots without passing the rock. An offense's rhythm comes from the movement of the ball and creates opportunities for these open shots. If Iowa can maintain their average of 20 assists per game, they'll be able to open up opportunities for beyond the arc. And finally, steal the crowd. The Schottenstein Center and their almost 19,000 fans will be rooting for a Buckeye upset to move them closer to the Big Ten lead. If the Hawks can set the momentum early and often, they can quiet down the energy right out and be on their way to a Sweet 16th win. And tomorrow, the men's basketball team takes on the second-ranked Purdue Boilermakers. Inside Carver Hawkeye Arena, this will be their second meeting of the year after Iowa lost in West Lafayette back in December. Iowa looked to get the revenge with the Hawks being led by big men Ben Krikke and Owen Freeman. Krikke leads the Hawkeyes in scoring this season, averaging just under 17 points a game, while Freeman has been hot over the last 4 games, averaging just under 16 points. The Iowa big men will have a big challenge on their hands as Purdue is home to one of the nation's best centers in Zach Edey. Josh Dix is also coming off his best game of the year against the Minnesota Golden Gophers, where he posted a season-high 21 points and 5 assists. Look for the sophomore guard to continue his form against the Boilermakers. And Purdue won't be just in town for basketball, but also some wrestling action. We'll send it over to DITV's Colin Carruthers, who's at Carver, to give us more about the duels this weekend.
Yeah, that's right, David. Men's basketball, Purdue will be visiting, but they won't just be here for basketball. They'll be here for some men's wrestling competition, as they'll take on Iowa's third-ranked team in the nation here at Carver Hawkeye Arena tonight. There's a potential that we could see 3 ranked matchups in this duel, including in the 125 weight class between the Hawkeyes' top-ranked Drake Ayala and Purdue's second-ranked Matt Ramos. This duel is set to start at 7 p.m. and will be available to watch on the Big Ten Network. But that's not all we got going on this weekend. The women's wrestling team will get to action on Sunday afternoon as they host Missouri Valley College and Life University. Now, Sunday will begin with Missouri Valley and Life competing at 1:30, but just a little bit after that, Iowa will get going as they face Missouri Valley at 2 p.m. And then just about 30 minutes later, a pair of national duel champions will finish off the day. Iowa just recently with their NWCA national duel, and Life University with their 2024 NAIA National Duel Championship. These duels will be available on Big Ten Plus. It will be an action-packed weekend here at Carver Hawkeye Arena. David, I'll send it back to you in the studio.
I appreciate it, Colin. And with the NFL postseason in full swing, let's take a look who has the chance to represent for the university in the Super Bowl. Tyler Linderbaum and Geno Stone are both in the 1-seeded Baltimore Ravens. All-Pro tight end George Kittle is one of the captains on the 1-seeded San Francisco 49ers. Defensive back Desmond King is a part of the new-look Houston Texans, and fellow defensive back Micah Hyde and defensive lineman A.J. Epinesa are featured on the Bills. First-round pick Lucas Van Ness and Christian Welch are a part of the Packers' defense, and the brand-new Lions feature rookies Sam Laporta and Jack Campbell, as well as Matt Nelson. The Buccaneers feature Tristan Wirfs and Anthony Nelson and Kayvon Merriweather.
And thank you for tuning in this morning. We hope you have a fantastic Friday and a great weekend.